Charles Barkley has always been controversial. He's always said things off the cuff. He's never been somebody who was very apologetic for the way he is. So when you think about Charles Barkley, the best thing you could do is say, man, like, what in the world is going on here? Because you really don't get it some of the times. But back in his playing days, he was the most controversial player in the NBA. He really was. I mean, what he would do was simply antagonize the rest of the world. Everything he did. I kid you not. I kid you not. Charles Barkley. A lot of you probably have never seen this picture. This picture was something the NBA was not happy about at all. And neither was the black community. They were very angry at Charles Barkley for agreeing to do an article. And they're on the cover of Sports Illustrated, dressed up like a slave, coming off the slave boat, and he's unchaining himself. Like he's breaking the chains. It's like, are you serious? He still autographs this thing. Every time he see it, he's so proud he did it because it ticked off the NBA. See, here was the point. Charles Barkley was not somebody they picked to be a superstar. Charles just brought excitement. He was ferocious when he played. He could take the ball coast to coast, dunk on people, and he changed his game. He developed more of a 3-point shot. He was powerful on the boards, physical, but they tried to make him be as model citizen as everybody else when Charles was doing the same things all the squeaky clean guys were doing, who the NBA was claiming was squeaky clean, Michael Jordan. So after this, it became a difference. And the difference was very simple. It was like night and day. And the difference is Charles didn't speak like the rest of them. Not then. Charles was the first person to come out and says, I don't want to be a role model. Athletes shouldn't be role models. It should be the parents. Parents should be the role models for their kids, not an athlete. Charles Barkley went off on the referee, NBA referee, who he felt was treating him like a slave. Another story you probably don't remember or hear. One referee threw him out of a game. Well, or gave him a technical foul. He flipped out. He said, hey, be careful, it's going to cost you. Meaning that he was going to get fined because he's going to get tossed. And Charles Barkley thought that he was trying to treat him like a slave. What do you mean it's going to cost me? You think you can control me with money? This ain't the old Negro days. There's actual footage of this somewhere. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go look it up on YouTube one day and see if they got it. Charles Barkley was controversial on all ends. Got in trouble, got in bar fights, And the league was like, what are we going to do with Charles Barkley? Because they thought Charles would play 6, 7 years and that'll be it for Charles. Once they saw how dominant he was, like in the Olympic game, and he was doing the interviews and he was so colorful, that they decided to go ahead with the changing of Charles' image. So when he did the George Washington pose, this is when he became Sir Charles Barkley, when he came dressed in as George Washington. A lot of people didn't remember that, but that was a famous cover for George magazine. He came dressed up as George Washington, the first president of the United States. And everybody loved it. And they were referring to him more as Sir Charles. The NBA put a path for Charles to be like one of the guys in the league. But his team blew it, so it is what it is. Charles was not a good leader on the team. He just wasn't. But for him to go into broadcasting, that was more ideal. But Charles has never been a leader on the team. Charles' problem was this. He got into it with Danny Ainge. He got into it with almost every player on his team at one point because they wouldn't give him the ball. And if when you wouldn't give Charles Barkley the ball when he asked for it, he would go in the lane and get a 3-second violation on purpose. And he'll keep doing it until you give him the ball. You ain't gonna give me the ball? All right. I'm getting a 3-second call. And would literally give possession back to the other team on purpose because he didn't get the ball when he wanted it. He was going to demand you give him the ball. Danny Ainge didn't like Charles anymore because he felt they lost the NBA Finals because guys wasn't sharing the ball. Mainly Charles Barkley, and when they played, it was Cedric Ceballos. He knew, don't give the ball to Cedric Ceballos because you will never get it back. So you had a team of people who knew how they played. When they were winning, everything was fine. But Charles was being selfish when they got in the NBA Finals, according to Danny Ainge. He credited the Chicago Bulls on how they shared the ball amongst each other, and they didn't. And that's how they lost the NBA Finals. Now, saying that and witnessing that and moving forward from that is they're all different. Charles, since he's retired, is winning the broadcasting, and the controversialness just keeps following Charles. Charles does not know how to take the foot off the gas. Charles comes in again and says anything he feels that comes to mind. Most of it you agree, some of it you will not. But it always, questioned Charles' sexuality. After Dick Bavetta comes up and kisses Charles on the lips, doing the silliest bet in the history of mankind when they had Charles Barkley race the NBA referee who was like in his 70s at that time, Dick Bavetta. But to black folks, they was, what the hell happened with, what's Charles doing? What the hell they kissing for? That's all black people saw. That's it. That was all we saw. So that was it. That was it. That was it. Then Charles gets the famous DUI. The one when he's talking about the woman he just left, talking about cheating on his wife with the officer because he doesn't know it's all being recorded. So after getting his DUI, he changed. And everybody attacked Charles. How dare you endangering lives? The NBA should fire you. You shouldn't be an announcer. You shouldn't do all these NBA broadcasting jobs. Now, here's the kicker with that. If you take away these jobs from Charles Barkley, then what are you saying about everybody else? They put Charles there for a reason. People tune in to watch Charles. They watch Barkley argue with Shaq. They watch them argue with Kenny all the time. This is what people tune in to see is Charles. This comes along with it. Now, Barkley also made a statement about that and said, it's mighty, it's mighty weird to me, as Charles would say. This is kind of weird because, on one hand, it is right. I shouldn't be out there driving drunk and intoxicated, but I've done that plenty of times and I probably could have hurt somebody. And it took this time to make me realize, let me get somebody else to drive or this and that, because you feel like you could drive, but you obviously can't because you can hurt someone. But the hypocrisy in talking about the NBA and other sporting arenas, he said the hypocrisy is when they say something because it's like you guys are, it's a hypocrisy because you guys serve liquor at all your facilities. How do you think those people are getting home? They all finna call a cab? So it's a hypocrisy. Ugh, sorry about that. I had to yawn. Yes, I'm human. So he said, it's a hypocrisy. You guys are on my back, but this person just, y'all serve liquor to everybody. And Charles is right. They make money. Football, baseball, basketball, off the liquor consumption. They make a lot of money off having those people there buying concessions and getting drunk, buying drinks, So how do you think those people are getting home? Most of those people drove to the game and they're driving away with all these people on the road, all these families. They drove there. How do you think they got there? So that's my take on it. A lot of the things he say, I sometimes I don't agree, but I respect and listen to Charles' opinion. No, it's told from a slant when you're dealing with Charles. Charles gonna tell you how you feel because he's passionate about something, or if it's his argument. Well, yeah, he's mellowed over the years. I mean, Charles is what in his 60s or 60 right now. So what you're experiencing is somebody who doesn't quite get it. You know, they don't quite understand the process. For years, Charles never changed who he was or nothing. He was always the same, and that you gotta respect if you don't admire anything else about the man. Now, thank you guys for all your support. I hope the majority of you get the notification. If not, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can on my end. Don't forget, you can follow me on my Twitter, Carcino, where you'll get the notifications if you follow me. My Cash App is Carcino. My Patreon is Carcino for life. You can click the link in the description box for the rest of everything else. And if you're new here, hopefully you subscribe and come back and watch some more videos. I'm out.